All right, this is the DJI Pocket 2. Now, I would love to tell you that I was blown away by the marketing for this product or that I've been waiting for this camera to come out for years. But the truth is, and the reason behind this video is that if you're just starting out in photography or filmmaking, maybe you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel or just upping your game on Instagram stories, this little camera, and in particular the Creator Combo, might just be the perfect product for you. So if you fall into that category, please stick around. I'm going to unbox the Pocket 2. I'm going to show you all the features, everything inside. I'm going to talk about what this camera can and can't do, and I'm going to answer that question of whether this little kit is the perfect way to start out with photography and especially video. Let's go. All right, so let me set this up here. This is the Creator Combo of the DJI Pocket 2. It's about 150 US or $200 Canadian more than the actual camera. And everything that you need for this particular product comes right here in this box. Now, for comparison, let's just put this on the table. If you just kind of look at these boxes, it's really hard to understand just how small this DJI camera is. So for all intents and purposes, we can just basically call these identical. Now, if you're watching this video, you may be trying to answer the question, why would I spend $500 or $600 on a camera like this when I can do just about everything that this camera does in my smartphone? You're thinking it's with you all the time. You can upload directly to Instagram or TikTok. It's got an amazing 4K video and great photos, and what's the point, right? Now, other YouTube channels have tried to answer this question by doing sort of a side-by-side comparison of the specs and comparison of the footage, but with all due respect, I think they're going about this completely the wrong way. There's something really magical and important about separating the device that you use to consume content from the device that you use to create content. See, this device right here is a really great content creation device, but it is a way better consumption device. This might be the greatest consumption device ever invented by mankind. It's so good that the two big players in this space, Apple and Google, actually ship an app with this product that is specifically designed to warn you with how much you're using it. Every time you pick up one of these devices, every time you go to create new content, whether it's photo or video, you are immediately bombarded with notifications. You get the latest Instagram posts, the latest TikTok videos, text messages from your friends, the latest YouTube video to release, news and alerts, and everything is there to distract you from the one thing that you should be doing, which is creating content. So then in comes the DJI Pocket 2. Now this device has no such feature and no such problem. This is a purely content creation device. For roughly a third of the price of this type of device, it packs some pretty incredible features. And when you unwrap this package and you open up the product, you have no choice but to create amazing content and ignore all the other distractions. All right, so this is really the main part of the Creator Combo. Up top, you've got the do-it-all handle. You've got the little tiny tripod on the side. You've got another handle for mounting any tripod you want. And at the bottom, you've got the microphone, which you can use to wirelessly transmit audio. All right, now in this box right here, we've got a little dead cat or a noise reducer for the microphone. Got a phone adapter, got the wide angle lens, got a little control stick, another connector for a smartphone, got a charging cable, and a little wrist strap. If we open up the camera itself, you can see that it comes here in this little handy case. Now the case itself looks very compact. There's a little 1/4-inch tripod mount down here. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the Pocket out of here. And there you have it. There is the DJI Pocket 2. It is, honestly, it is such a tiny little camera. So one of the main selling points of this camera is just how compact everything is. I'm going to put this together right now just so you can kind of get an idea of how compact this entire setup is when I put everything in the case. All right, so this is the Pocket 2 with everything that you would need for sort of the Creator Combo. You've got the do-it-all handle at the bottom, which acts as a receiver for the microphone. Then you got your little mini tripod just sitting on the outside. The control stick sticks out slightly from the case here. The gimbal and the whole camera fits in this side, and then the microphone clips on the front. Now, if you want to see how this looks without the full Creator Combo, so here you go. The entire system fits perfectly inside this case. Now, you don't have all the other accessories, but there's a kind of a neat trick here if you just pull the camera out. So you see inside there's a adapter for the iPhone, adapter for Android, and then you've got the wide angle lens, which doesn't come with the regular edition. It only comes with the Creator Kit. Now, in terms of specs, you're going to get pretty much what you would get with any of the phones released in the last couple of years. You've got the ability to shoot 4K video up to 60 frames a second, so you can get a little bit of slow motion. You can kind of shoot that super slow motion at 120 frames a second or 240 frames a second in 1080p. Now, in terms of photography, this does claim to have a 64 megapixel camera, but I kind of want to caution you on this. it's more likely that the sensor is actually the size of about a smartphone, somewhere around the 12 megapixel range. And what DJI is doing is they're essentially taking multiple shots using the gimbal. The camera is just sort of panning around the screen, and it's combining those together in what is the equivalent of a 64 megapixel image. Now, the main advantage of this over your smartphone really comes down to this little gimbal on top. Now, let me just turn this on so you can see. As I sort of tilt the camera, this is incredibly useful, and it allows you to get some really clever shots. Leave the camera on a tripod or on a table, and you can actually have it pan from left to right as you shoot a time lapse. You can also get some very clever shots with this device. You can get very low or very high, and get into places that you may not be able to get into with your smartphone camera. And maybe best of all is a built-in feature called Active Track, which has been a very popular feature for DJI. It works on the drones, and it is incredible at tracking a subject around a room. With this particular camera, you can set this up, turn on Active Track, have the camera pan and tilt to follow you around the room, which is great for vlogging or just capturing footage when you can't be looking at the screen. Now, you also get this little control stick for controlling the gimbal. You can slide this thing left and right, up and down, or use the zoom feature to zoom in on a particular shot. Another really interesting feature is you have the ability to use this little tripod. You're just going to slide these things around. This is just a really simple, really compact tripod, and I think this is going to work great with the Pocket 2. Now, if you slide on this little lightning adapter or USB-C if you have an Android, you've got the ability to connect this directly to your phone. You've got a huge screen here to control the camera, and you can just really get a feel for the shots, and you can just see from this, sorry about the messy van, just how smooth this gimbal is. Now, there are 4 little microphones on this camera, which is actually a pretty big deal. Not only is this great for getting really true stereo sound, but it also allows the camera to pick up multiple sounds and sort of combine them together into a really clean audio signal. It also helps a lot with wind noise reduction. If there's wind kind of popping into one side of the microphones, this camera can shut those off and then use the other sides to pick up the clean audio. Now, probably the biggest thing about this camera, and where I really believe I'm going to recommend this to new creators, is the addition of this microphone. Now, we simply pull this piece off here. We add the do-it-all handle. This is the wireless microphone here. If I just sort of turn this on, turn on the gimbal, press the connector, and it's easy as that. This is now recording and using this microphone for a situation like this where I can just walk away from the camera. The tracking should work. It should follow me, but I should also be able to talk, and you should be able to hear me pretty good. I'm going to get great audio from as far away as I need to. There's also a little tiny connector here to connect a wireless lav mic. This would allow you to kind of clip this onto your pocket, run the microphone up through your shirt, and hide it kind of on your collar. It's just a little less obtrusive than this device, which is a little bit bigger. Now, this is just with the Pocket 2 sitting in front of me, and now I'm wearing the wireless microphone, so the audio is going to be picked up right here. I mean, it's very close to me, so it probably won't make a huge difference. But in terms of quality here, I haven't changed any settings. This is just straight video out of the box. But I did want to test one other feature here. The Creator Combo actually comes with a little magnetic wide-angle lens sitting right here inside the case. And if I just pop this out, line it up, drop it on the camera, and now you've got an idea of the wide-angle version of the Pocket 2 versus the regular version. All right, so I'm just editing this video, and it's been about 2 weeks now since I started using the Pocket 2, and I have some opinions. And this is a very clever camera, but it might be a little too clever for its own good. You purchase this camera, you open it up, there's going to be this jolt of excitement that's going to go through your body the first time you kind of look at this case and how all these little accessories fit perfectly inside. But then after a couple weeks and you open it up and you take a look and you see that 2 adapters are missing. I've actually lost both phone adapters. I've lost a little wide angle lens and then refound it again. And I even lost that little dead cat noise dampener that's supposed to go on the microphone. There's actually kind of a funny story behind that one. If you look out here in the ice, it'll be very hard to see. There is a dead cat or wind noise reducer that is rolled out that way. I knew this was going to happen. Now, of course, this could all be fixed with a new case, but this was a pretty big selling feature of the Pocket 2. And after using the camera for a couple weeks, I think there are much better options. Now, in terms of quality, I'm really impressed with the Pocket 2 across all of the video modes. It's kind of hard to get away from that small sensor size look that you get to the video, but I kind of knew that getting in. The microphone quality has been great. I think across the board, I have no complaints about the video quality for a camera this size. Now, on the photo side, I don't really think I'm impressed at all. Despite the fact this is advertised as a 64 megapixel camera, I really couldn't see any differences between the 12 megapixel and the 64 megapixel options. There's just so much technology that goes into a modern smartphone these days in terms of computational photography. It's really hard to replicate the quality in a camera like this. One thing I do appreciate though is the Pro mode for photography. There's RAW files in a DNG format available for all of the modes, including time lapses and panoramas. Now, I also really think this camera could benefit from some built-in presets. I switch between modes a lot and frame rates, and I think that going through the little menu and trying to select what you need is a little bit cumbersome. Just having those presets baked in and being able to switch between them would be a huge benefit. And finally, the Mimo app, which is the app you use to connect the Pocket 2 to your phone, leaves a lot to be desired in my opinion. Now, this is an area where GoPro just completely has this nailed. The first thing is that you can't actually connect to this camera unless you manually power it on. The GoPro has a setting to sort of wake the camera up when you're ready to connect. And then because of the built-in gimbal, you can't leave this in the case, turn it on, and then connect to your phone. You actually have to take it out, put it on a stand, make sure the gimbal's not obstructed, let it go through sort of its normal on procedure, and then you can connect to it. There's also some weird issues with transcoding and codecs in the app. You have to transcode a lot of your videos before you download them to your smartphone. And another big benefit that GoPro has that DJI hasn't quite added yet is the ability to sort of cut or shorten the clips before you transfer them to your phone. I was constantly transferring like 5 or 6 gigabytes of data from the Pocket 2 just to maybe pull out a 15-second clip for Instagram. And then to top it all off, it doesn't always find the camera. I've had the Pocket 2 on and the Bluetooth on my phone and try to connect, and there's nothing to be found. I usually have to reset or turn off the Pocket 2 and then it connects. Now, despite some of these annoyances, there's just so much technology packed into this little camera that I have no issue recommending this to new creators. Just being able to carry around such a small camera like this in your pocket, and I wouldn't let some of those limitations or annoyances get in the way of making a purchase on this. Now, of course, I'm not a new creator, but I really do see a lot of value in a camera like this for someone in my situation. But let's just get back to the video and I'll explain it over here. I've been doing photography and videography for the last 5 or 6 years. And that's not a lot of time, but I feel pretty comfortable around a camera, whether it's photo or video. Now, as you dive into this world of content creation, you're going to start to notice this very interesting phenomenon start to happen. And my friend Taylor Jackson kind of nailed this with his own YouTube video. He called it gear lust.
Some people say that I have a problem acquiring gear. Some say that I have GAS, gear acquisition syndrome.
It is absolutely, without a doubt, a real thing. As you scroll through YouTube and you find that latest video from your favorite creator, you realize there's no shortage of cameras and lenses and mics and lights and filters and miscellaneous gear that give you that feeling that if I only had that one piece of equipment, I could finally start creating the content I want. Next thing you know, it's 2020 and you're watching the latest YouTube video from Peter McKinnon and he's explaining how they've finally been able to combine ND filters with mist filters, and you're asking yourself the question, what the fuck is a mist filter and why do I want this so bad? So for me, this DJI Pocket offers a little bit of a new beginning. I'm constantly overwhelmed with gear and this kind of feeling that the type of gear that I have, or the lenses or cameras or lighting, is not quite good enough. And then I'm also overwhelmed with options, and it's just so many things to do here in the Canadian Rockies. It's been really hard for me to sit down and focus on one particular project or one particular activity. So for 21 days in a row, I'm going to be putting all of those excuses aside and focusing on one single activity. I'm going to be working with experts in that particular field to set a goal for how far they think that I can come in 21 days. And I'll be sharing that entire process from the beginning leading up to that final big objective right here on my YouTube channel. Which brings me to what I'm going to be doing right here in November. Starting today, actually, I'm going to be focusing on a really iconic activity here in the Canadian Rockies, and that is cross-country skiing. Now, where I live here in Canmore happens to be one of the greatest cross-country skiing areas in the world. Now, for the end of the 21 days, I have a really exciting challenge, just goal for myself, and I'm not going to tell you what it is right now, but if you just stick around this channel, I think you're really going to like it. It's kind of been a bucket list item for me for a long time. Now, my 21 days actually starts today, and I'm here at the Nordic Center, which is the Canadian training ground for our Olympic cross-country athletes. I'm pretty excited to get out there today. I'm going to check out something called Frozen Thunder, so I should probably go now and get this 21-day project started. Thanks for joining, and until the next one, I'll see you soon.